So guys, today we're taking the forks off, and I'm doing this because I need to leave them for service. They're gonna change the oil inside. I do that every season. Front forks twice, rear shock, and taking them off will grant me access to the coolant, so I can take that off and drain the coolant. So we start by taking off the front forks, and it's pretty simple. You need to take off the front wheel. You can check my previous video on that. So what you need to do is remove these two bolts. I have changed them. Yours may look like this one. And then you need to open up the triple clamp in the top, which is just underneath the bracket for my brake fluid holder. And the clip-ons need to be loosened as well. And then probably you would need to put something here to apply this a little bit apart, and then the forks will come down as they are. So I start by loosening in the top and then work my way down. Get back to you. So I'm unscrewing this screw that goes into the top triple clamp. Yours may look different, but there should be a screw here where mine is. So I can remove this, and after that I will gain access to this one here, and that will loosen the triple clamp in the top. So I'll do that in the back. So use a TX45 and just loosen this. You don't need to remove it completely. So it's loosened there, and we need to loosen the clip-ons. I'll see if I can show you on mine. There are two screws in there, that one and that one. It may vary depending on the clip-ons you're using. I'm using Bonamici, which I will probably remove. Since my crash, I could not get the handlebar out of this part, so it's better to have clamp-ons. Then this one is screwed from the inner tube straight in, so it made it harder to quickly change the clip-ons. So I will loosen the handlebar and get back to you. So next we need to loosen the lower triple clamp, and as I told you, I've got special bolts here so I can safety wire them. So just open these babies up a little bit, and now the fork should be loose, but it's still stuck in there. You cannot move it. That's why you need to pry this part apart a little bit, and then you'll be able to pull it down. What I need to do is remove this homemade bracket or holder for the brake lines. So I will cut this and pry this part apart and remove the fork. So I end up with a small crowbar in here, and if I move this, the forks will come down. So you just ply them and then pull them. You need both your hands. So this is the method. You can use a screwdriver as well. You can see it's moving. So I'll do that and remove this fork and get back to you. So the right hand side fork is out, and then I used a couple of zip ties to keep the handlebar in place. So otherwise it will fall off. So that's one side, and you repeat exactly the same thing on the other side, except, sorry, down here, you will have to remove your sensor. There's a screw there, so you can remove it and then feed it through this holder. So this cable is loose. I've got the D2 sensor, the potentiometer, so I will remove it here as well. And then further up in the top as well. So I'll do that and get back to you. So to be able to remove this cover that's holding the cable, you will need to use a small, I think it's TX20 maybe, but it's a small one. So you need to unscrew this and then remove this bracket so you can get the cable free. So this bracket is off, the cable is off, as you can see. Be careful with the sensor, which is here, so you don't touch the sensor side to anything and damage it. Usually I put the screws back in so I don't forget where they came from. So, and the fork will be off soon. So guys, the forks are off. Lower triple clamp is free, as you can see. And it took me about 45 minutes maximum, including removing the front wheel. It's pretty good to know how to do this, because by changing your upstick here, how much fork you're showing, you will change the geometry of the bike. And if you're showing a lot of fork, the bike will be on its nose. It will turn faster and be a little bit more unstable when you're braking. If you show minimum upstick here, as little as possible, the bike will be on its back. It will be slower mid-corner turning, but stable on braking. So I recommend you to experiment with your upstick. I've been doing everything from 8 millimeters upstick to 5. I settle at 5 right now. And it depends on other variation, how much oil you have in your forks and how hard their springs you're using and stuff like that. But for me, 5 millimeter was the sweet spot. So that's what I'm using. So next up is probably draining the coolant and removing the coolant. So I'll drain the bike from oil and fluids, coolant, and then remove the coolant.